If you're like me and you can't just learn online through YouTube videos and Udemy courses and you need physical copies of something, these are the 3 books that I would recommend. Number 3 is HTML and CSS. This one's by Jon Duckett. It's a great book. You can find it almost anywhere you go. So if you go to a Barnes and Noble, they most likely carry it and it's for sale and they probably have 3 or 4 copies. It's more of a reference book more than it is like a tutorial or guide or how-to book. So it's going to give you a lot of references on how to do these things and how to develop in these languages. I still use it to this day for references when I need it. It's a quick, handy go-to instead of having to look something up online. But if you read it from front to back, you're going to have a really good grasp of these 2 languages and what they're used for in software development. So I would highly recommend owning this book if you're going to get a book and you're just learning to develop and you're just starting out. It's a great starter book, HTML and CSS. You're going to need a good baseline to these 2 languages to do anything else. So you need to understand these 2 languages. The next, number 2, is Eloquent JavaScript. It's a great book. It does have some tutorials. It does have some walkthroughs. It does have some things for you to go through, test, and see how it works and how it functions and how you write in JavaScript. It goes from very beginner to advanced really fast, but you're going to understand it. You can walk through it over and over again. And that's the beauty of a book is you can go over a certain part over and over again and be redundant with it until you understand the concept. But it is a great book on JavaScript. And as the world moves towards, augmented reality and more software on PC-based software, JavaScript is growing more and more in popularity. A lot of frameworks have come out in the past 10 years just for JavaScript, making it easier to develop and learn to develop. I grew up in a world where we learned a language called PHP, and that was a real PHP and Java were the 2 languages that everybody needed to know if you're going to have a future in software. And now JavaScript has made strides and is one of the top languages that you can learn right now. And so I would highly recommend this book. This is my number 2 spot, Eloquent JavaScript. And coming in number 1. Now, I know that a lot of developers who watch this and see this video are going to say that PHP might be outdated. But yes, it might be outdated, but it is still used across the web. There's a lot of old software that's on the internet that is still written in PHP and still need developers to develop and contribute to. Also, PHP working so hand in hand with a server makes it really handy to know because it's going to also help you understand how code works with the servers, which I think a lot of new developers miss that fundamental principle of how it's all working together. They can just write and expect it to work, but they don't understand the resources that are needed for their code to work. Well, they have come out with a ton of additions for this book, and PHP and MySQL, Novice to Ninja, my favorite book of all time. As you can see, it actually has 2 different authors depending on the edition you go with, Kevin Yank, and then you got Tom Butler. Now, this is the newest one that I have, and it's a great book because it teaches you modern framework, basically modern frameworks and how modern development is done through a thing called Docker, which is a virtual machine-based software. So it's a lot of development is done now through containers in Docker. So this is a great book to own. But as far as learning how to develop, this is a really fun book. It's a whole walkthrough tutorial of how to develop a database site. It's a joke database site that lets you input jokes and update jokes and basically keep records of data on a server or on a database while updating the front end. And so if you were to combine a couple of these things together with your HTML, your JavaScript, and your CSS, with this, you're going to be able to develop a pretty cool website on your own from scratch to end. And it's one of my absolute favorite books to walk through. I've gone through maybe 4 or 5 times over the last 10 years, and it has taught me a lot. It also shows you a lot of vulnerabilities in web development that need to be solved to this day. So you can become an expert in some cybersecurity things that have to do with web development. Anyways, those are my top 3 favorite books. I hope you enjoyed. Reach out to me if you need any other recommendations or places to go to learn software and coding. Thanks.